Hey gamers, Spectre Senence here. I'm going to be reviewing the Tyranid's Elite, which are a very important component of the Tyranid army. It really pretty much helps them accomplish the goals or the type of playstyle that a Tyranid player wants to have. In this part, I'm going to go over models I do not own, but they are part of the Elite sections, just so I'm going to be a little bit more complete and thorough with it. The first choice is the Hive Guard. It is a very popular elite choice with Tyranid players because of the Impaler Cannons, the ability to ignore most cover, and Strength 8 is pretty much the light armor, medium armor type of transport and tank killer. So it really allows the Tyranids to get into against the troop choices, the troops themselves, instead of actually having to deal with armor, because most Tyranids will have some difficulty with armor. The Hive Guard with the Impaler Cannons, however, are a solution to rectify that. So with not needing line of sight, they're very easy to hide, very easy to really get to opponents' tanks, and a really popular choice, and a choice that I would recommend. Something I'll probably get in the future and try to see a little bit more use out of my battle reports. But right now I don't have any because I go through a different style, and I have a couple of armies that I play. But for my Tyranids, I kind of like close combat, and that's where the Hive Guard don't really help you too much. With a couple that can help you with popping tanks, but I'll go over a model that is more used in my army, and you'll kind of understand that why. The other group that I do not have would be the Yamargal Gene Stealers. They're awesome. They kind of remind me of the 3rd edition Lictors, the way they used to play. Really recommend just the new heads. I haven't had a chance to get that. I'm a little bit of a WYSIWYG player from the old days, so I plan on kind of modeling a couple of those and getting a little more thorough play. You'll probably see me use a little bit more of them as I get into bigger games, especially around 2,000, 2,500 points. So they're very cool. They have the ability to morph their bodies to kind of get you what you need. But the real key is the choosing a terrain piece, knowing that you're going to be there, and then coming out of that and assaulting immediately, unlike any else thing that comes out of reserve. That's the way the old Lictors used to play. I used to have very good success with them, so I feel that the Yamargal Gene Stealers really still capture some of my old play style. I just haven't had a chance to really thoroughly test them to give a full analysis, but I do think they can play very well because they're just still Gene Stealers. They're still going to be very effective. They're just a little better because of the way they deploy and deliver them. You just got to be very good at knowing a table, how your opponent will move and anticipate, and if you can do that, Yamargal Gene Stealers will be completely effective and really a pain for your opponent, because I was able to be that successful with the old Lictors. The other one is the Pyrovore. Cool idea, good concept, but kind of reminds me of the old Hellhound rules in 3rd edition, where hit dies and blows up, kind of causing more trouble around to your own army. Pretty good flaming template, but I haven't really used them a lot. But with the popularity of Necrons with armor 4, he has some possibility to use, especially if you probably use him in Acidic Spore, drop a couple of them down, you could probably wipe the unit pretty good. But my thing is, it's a very difficult unit to keep alive, and being an elite choice, that is a hard sell to keep him to be a choice in my army, because he's just going to go away, and you really need these other select choices. So when we look at my models from Hive Fleet Wraith, you'll see a little bit more of the detail as I go into how I use them and
play. Alright, the elites of Hive Fleet Wraith. Starting with Lictors. Lictors were awesome in 3rd edition, able to assault when they arrived from reserve. In the new edition, they cannot do so. They're stuck with flesh hooks, which have a minimum distance, and with a toughness 4, no invulnerable save besides the stealth cover that they can get with the cover they're in. They're pretty vulnerable to retaliation, and if you're using Lictors, what they're supposed to be as the deep threat inside the enemy army, being isolated like that, it's really not worth the points, especially taking another elite slot. They just don't really perform like they used to. And in that case, a lot of Tyranid players have just not used Lictors anymore, and they have pretty much gone away, which is too bad. There's a great story around them, and here they have just let them not become useful. Using this model as proxy pretty much because of the larger sighting talents as Death Leaper. He is kind of good if you play a lot of Psychers, because he can at least reduce the leadership by 3. That will make some of their casting a little bit difficult to happen. Other than that, though, he's really much of that gimmick. The same issue as the other lictors. He's really not going to survive very long. He's by himself. So again, lictors are cool, even the Death Leaper, but they're just not going to perform for what you really kind of hope they are and the points that you pay for them. And again, elite choices that just really take up slots that you just don't want to give up. I mean, if you get a storyboard game, that's great. That'll work out pretty well, but otherwise, if you're for a hard playing, that's not going to happen. These are my favorite, and this is where the difference between using Hive Guard to Venom Thorps. Now, why I use Venom Thorp is because of the cover save they generate, and it's a little broken in terms you only need the model to be within 6 inches of a Venom Thorp to get the cover save. You can really stretch the board, especially with Hormagaunts. That pretty much that will happen with them a lot, but they're still receiving a cover save throughout. So it's a great way to start the screen. And these models, if your opponent is shooting at them, they're not going to do anything else besides the cover, but it keeps you pretty much on the offensive. Anyone who assaults anyone that is in contact with this 6-inch will be going as if they're through difficult and dangerous terrain. It just really allows you to be aggressive. I have used these guys to great effect. Protecting monstrous creatures, you get a third of a chance on a 5+ cover save of protecting them. Otherwise, Hive Tyrants, the Queen of Blades, your Tyranifexes, Carnifexes, they're just going to go down from fire. All of a sudden, these little models can kind of at least give them a fighting chance. And that's really, really helpful in a Tyranid army. Giving cover while you move. And the rest of the army is giving cover if it's really bunched up and moving itself. So they're worth their points. I have always used them pretty well. And if they survive, Lash Whips reducing to Initiative 1 can help the big creatures like the Queen of Blades or your Tyranid Warriors or anything of that sort. Just make it really helpful. So overall, just a great synergy unit that is helping everything out. It's a real backbone of Hive Fleet Wraith. These two guys, I try to break them up. I'll split the two just so I don't get shots rolled into to both of them. Have just really carried my army. Zoanthropes. Now, they used to be pretty good. They're still pretty effective, but not overly effective because they have made that their warp lands a psychic test. Yes, that means you have to roll the psychic test. You have to roll to hit, then to see if you penetrate, and then the effect. That's a lot of rolling for your tank destroyers. And again, they could be insta-killed even though they have one of the few invulnerable saves in the army. Without the drop of the acidic spore, and you're pretty much going to build like 2-3 of them in that spore to come down, you're giving them up after that. So you really got to hope you choose the right tank and everything kind of works out. But if you're playing Space Marines with Vanilla Marines, a Psychic Hood can really hamper these guys. So if you don't know what you're going against and going into a tournament, the Zoanthropes are going to be limited. So your elite choices, although like I said, make up quite a bit, so far it's really the Venom Thorps and the Hive Guard that make most of the difference. But last but least, the unpopular Doom of Malentine. This guy is sort of really undercosted, and for a hard tournament type of setting, the Doom is going to work itself out. Especially if you drop him in the Acidic Spore, which is pretty much the must. So you take the 140 points, 90 for him, 40 for the Spore. You might want to upgrade the Spore a little bit just to give it a tiny more punch. And that combination of just dropping down into your enemy, if there's any more infantry troops slogging around, the Doom is going to start sucking up their minds and getting stronger and stronger. It's just one of those models you just put in the ranks, and he's going to take all the fire away from your monstrous creatures. So for 90 points, and the effect that this little guy does, he can keep him right off your Hive Tyrants right off the bat, because nobody wants this guy, because 6 inches, you're going to roll 3d6 on leadership, you die from that, no saves allowed except for cover and vulnerable saves. So your armor saves are gone, and then this thing starts getting wounds. He gets stronger with his warp strength, and it causes a problem. And this effect happens in both phases of the shooting for both you and your opponent. So with that effect happening, your opponent will not want him on the table. So the Doom of Malentine is superly effective if you're going to play competitive. Tyranid opponents may not like it, but unfortunately, when you look at the other choices that are you're pretty much generated, the Doom is going to be found against. It's going to be on that tabletop every single time. So this is pretty much Hive Fleet Wraith. Again, I usually just go with the Venom Thorps. I don't really use Lictors. I don't use the Zoanthropes anymore, so I'll go 1, 2, and the third elite choice right there to fill up. That's pretty much been my staple. It's been very effective for me, and when I build the army list and go through another video, you'll quite understand. And I kind of hope that this really goes through the Tyranid elite selections for you pretty well and explain their strengths and limitations. Again, if you're playing for fun, some of these models have been around for a while, like the Zoanthropes and the Lictors. So people have had them, and they've had a great story before, but GW has made you really kind of go forward to the newer models, which is the Venomthorpe is the brand newer models, and the Zoanthrope, the Duma Mountai, and of course the Hive Guard. So really, that's pretty much Hive Fleet Wraiths.
And before I let you go, I basically really want to make sure you guys understand, if you're a Tyranid player, that you really need to go the elite choice. Of the other selections in your army, you need to go elite. I think you can survive without fast attack. You can survive without heavy support. Once you have your 2 troop, you have your HQ, whoever you went with. The elite choice is really the part that makes your army work. So you need the choice, either the Venomthorpe or the Hive Guard. Like I said, I go Venomthorpe because I like the close combat aspect. I like getting your face and cover it provides. It's a great synergy model. But the Hive Guard can do the same thing in terms of breaking up the transports if that's been your issue, if you really don't want the Tron effects, things of that sort. So really invest. They're a little pricey, the cost of Venomthorpes and Hive Guard, but this is what GW is all about. It's you need to get the models if you want to have the effectiveness, and those are the models that are effective. That's what they put the rules for. They're the ones that are ahead of the game. The old stuff are gone. The Lictors, the Zoanthropes, they don't work as well. So if you want a little bit more dependability, the Venomthorpe or Hive Guard, and of course the Duma Mountai. There's no model of that, but that's what I proxy. That's what I made, and I hope you guys be able to take this advice and apply it and enjoy it.